Why are you so creative? What's your process? Do you know the concept of thinking outside of the box? Yeah. Right, so now take that box, throw it into a paper shredder, replace it with a beehive, and then the surrounding bees is where my process is. Need a different example. Hey, well, you know how multiple people have like a brainstorming session? Yeah. Right, so my brain is in a constant brainstorming session by itself, and instead of a storm, it's a hurricane.
This song scratches my brain itch.
Into the thick of it, into the thick of it, into the thick of it. Ugh. We're tramping through the bush, on and on we push. Into the thick of it, but we can't see where we're going.
Mozart could never.
Search this video and tell me something that makes you incredibly upset, but neurotypical people just don't understand why.
Why don't you just... Can't you just... I mean, if you would just... All you need to do is just... I mean, have you tried just... It's not that hard if you would just... I don't understand why you don't just...
How does ADHD actually work? There's this chemical in your brain called dopamine. I'm oversimplifying, but dopamine is not a reward chemical. It's more of a motivation chemical where it's encouraging you to start or keep working on a task. For people without ADHD, they have enough dopamine sitting around, but for people with ADHD, we don't have enough dopamine sitting around, or our neurons are less sensitive. That's a different theory, but kind of results in the same thing. For someone without ADHD, they start working on something and they just kind of finish it. There's just enough dopamine for them to continue doing it all the way until the end. For people with ADHD, there just really isn't enough dopamine floating around. So then you might seek out other sources of dopamine and get distracted, because that distraction is much more stimulating with dopamine. This is also why stimulant medication works. Stimulant medication fills in the gaps with extra dopamine, and instead of veering off here, lets us continue doing what we were doing before. I'm oversimplifying here a lot, but this is generally how ADHD is known to work. Keep in mind, there's always new science being done, and this could change as we understand ADHD more, but knowing this has helped me understand why I do certain things, and I hope it might help you as well.
Well, here's another one I get asked with reasonable frequency. And as always, bear in mind, this is just what I do. And just for reference, I have driven all the way across Canada like this, as well as down deep into a lot of the states. Most important thing for me, music. Something to keep the mind engaged. Something you can sing along to, something that's a bop, right? Gets your head moving, whatever. Depending on the time of year, you might want to actually throw on the air conditioning, or at least turn the heater down. Because if it's too hot, the odds of you kind of slipping into that nod off are a lot higher. I'm gonna guess that your eyes are gonna be darting all over the place while you're driving, so long as you can keep your focus on the road. There's a few of us that have made up a little game. It's like an acronym game out of license plates. You know, whoever comes up with the silliest one wins. You know, like CEB, cows eat broccoli, or something stupid like that. Just something to keep the mind going. But again, just stuff that I do. I hope it helps you. Stay safe out there.
Hi, my name is Maddie and I'm here to tell you how I went about getting diagnosed with ADHD in Australia. The first thing that I did was I actually jumped online and started researching every single symptom that I could possibly relate to. And I wrote all of these down in the notes on my phone. The next thing I did was I booked in an appointment with a GP that came recommended by a friend who has ADHD. He was a bulk bill GP, so thankfully the appointment was free. And during that appointment, he filled out this checklist with me that you can actually find on Google. Now, GPs in Australia cannot diagnose anyone with ADHD, so he had to refer me to a psychiatrist. I did not have a psychiatrist in mind, although if you have a friend that recommends one, you can certainly request that you are referred to that one. So he just recommended 3 different ones for me and provided referrals for each one. And then I just reached out to all 3 and found out who had the soonest appointment. I actually had to wait about 6 months before I could get in with that person. And I also had to pay a deposit well in advance before that appointment. And I'll make a part 2 where I talk more about my experience with the psychiatrist.
Bongo la, bongo cha cha cha.
ADHD Truths Part 3. Whenever I'm talking to someone, I want them to feel like I'm engaged and I'm paying attention. I will do things like nodding my head, saying, yeah. But a couple things. If I'm looking like I'm not paying attention and I'm just zoned out, I'm actually truly paying attention and listening to what you're saying. I'm just really good at multitasking. Also, if I make it about me, I'm not trying to dim your light. I'm literally just trying to make it relatable because that's what we do with ADHD. I've had people in the past tell me, why do you always have to make conversations about you? And I'm like, I didn't try to, sorry. Anyways, I wish we could normalize being a little bit more understood that we're really just trying to relate to neurotypicals and we're paying attention even if we're not looking at you.
No!
Son of a fuck!
That's some bullshit.
Cause he's just a little attention attractor. When he grows up to be a comic or actor, he'll be rewarded for never maturing, for never understanding or learning that every day can't be about him. There's other people, you selfish asshole. Must be psychotic, I must be demented to think that I'm worthy of all this attention.
Into the thick of it. Into the thick of it. Into the thick of it. Oh. 5, 3, 2, 1. We're gonna drift in a favorite rocket ship, zooming through the sky. Little Einstein, we climb aboard. Get ready to explore. There's no line, little Einstein.
Many other neurodivergent people feel like they never know what to do with their face. I'm always afraid that people are gonna think that I'm like being rude or unfriendly if I just like sit with a relaxed face. So I'll literally just sit, even if we're just like in the car or sitting in silence, I'll just sit there like, and my face will hurt so bad by the end of the interaction, but I literally don't know what to do otherwise.
Random things in my ADHD friendly apartment that just make sense. Spice racks like this are not it if you have ADHD. If you don't see it, it doesn't exist. So now I keep my spices in these clear containers on these clear shelves next to the stove. This is what my pantry looks like. I decanted all of the items that I use on a regular basis into clear containers with labels, and then for all your other items, put them at the forefront of the shelf and only put the exact same item behind it. I should put a video of my pantry before it was crazy. And I do the same in one of my other cupboards for frequently used foods like cereal, crackers, Mr. Noodle. Don't judge me, I'm a student at Uncle Ben's.
Here are the top 5 journal prompts for people with ADHD.
It's shower time. Ooh, no. Pass. I'm good. You know, I thought you might say that. So, I went ahead and booked a chiropractor appointment for you for tomorrow. What? Oh my god, somebody within physical proximity to me that could touch and or smell me if I do not do the thing. Oh my god. I have to shower. You've done it. I hate you, you know that. You are welcome.
Welcome to ADHD Jeopardy. I'm your host, David Allman, and let's get started. Let's go with conversations for 100. People with ADHD regularly do this during conversation. Beep, 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 what is finish your sentences? That is correct. Your turn again. Let's go with I forgot for 300. This phrase is often used in boring conversation. Beep, 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 what is I forgot what you were saying? Could you repeat that, please? Correct. It looks like the board is yours. Okay, I would like friendships for 200. The average time that it takes for someone with ADHD to respond to a text message. Beep, 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 what is too damn long?
ADHD homeowner pro tip. If you struggle doing your yard or cleaning your house, you have to tie it to your motivation. What do I mean by that? Turns out my dopamine is super bougie and gets off on being told when my house or my yard is super duper cute. So if I am struggling to get my flower beds cleaned or get my house cleaned or like get the things done that I've been hoping to get achieved for like this season, I'll schedule a party. Why do I do that? because I know people are going to tell me how cute my yard is and how cute my house is if I actually get it done. And this doesn't work if you don't care, which is totally fine. By all means, do not care if it does not something that you do. That's totally okay. But if you do love it, like, oh my God, I love your house, I love your yard, schedule a party. You'll get your shit done.
So as a person with newly diagnosed ADHD, I've been looking on the internet to find some tips and tricks to manage the chaos, and this is the first article I found. 33 ADHD-friendly ways to get organized. See this here? This is already comedy, because if you think that I'm going to be able to read and retain a bulk of that information, then I don't think you understand the scope of this problem. But let's look at the highlights. Fight hyperfocus. How to manage ADHD. Stop doing ADHD. Stop agonizing over insignificant items. Oh my God, I had never considered that. Thank you so much, I'm cured. Make use of wasted minutes. But see, that is why I'm late, because yes, I did have 5 extra minutes before I had to leave. So you know what I did? I put a bagel in the toaster, I painted my nails, and I decided to bleach the sink. Simplify your wardrobe. I will not be doing this. I'm trying to have a good time, and if I have to be chaotic, I'm also going to be beautiful. Process the mail every day. Absolutely not. Switch to online banking. No, I forgot that password months ago. And finally, keep some extra cash on hand. I love this. Where do I get the cash?
You know what's tough about ADHD? The hard things that are very stressful and anxiety inducing, those things you can do. Think about the stressful deadlines at work or school where you did everything at the last minute and that last hour before the midnight deadline was like furious pace and you just did it. Like, yeah, sure, it wasn't a 10 out of 10, but you did it. You finished. Then on the other hand, you think about things you're super interested in, hyperfocuses, obsessions, hyperfixations, whatever you want to call them. You get really into them and you're awesome at them, right? You do them. And then there's this weird thing in the middle, which never gets done, which is so much harder to do because it's not even that hard. It's almost like it's too boring to do, which makes it impossible to do. I know someone who doesn't have ADHD hearing this will think that that makes no sense, but it makes so much sense in my mind. And I suspect that it makes a lot of sense in your mind as well. And I'm curious to see, I'm pretty sure that this is something a lot of people with ADHD also find. Am I on the ball here, or is this just like my own weird thing?
Hey man, how was work? I'm gonna get fired. Why, what happened? When I was talking to my manager, they had a slight change in the tone of their voice. How does that make you think that they're gonna fire you? You not hear me? They changed the tone of their voice. Man, are you okay? My girlfriend doesn't love me anymore. What? Says she's been typing for the past 20 minutes. What's the conversation leading up to that? Said I love you, have a great day at work. Well, wouldn't you think it's more possible that she's just working? Yeah, maybe, yeah.